We need to run the ball better, and we need to have the running game available to us. I think I probably mentioned that last week. When you need it, short yardage, red zone, goal line, fourth quarter, all of those times that have historically been when you need to call on it. And then you have to orchestrate your game so that it fits that. And that's why the play passes are so important, and the actions are so important, and keeping the quarterback clean and minimizing the distances on third down. All of those things are all fit together. So I've been doing it this way for a lot of years, and it's a winning formula for if you play good defense and you kick the ball well. And so we're trying to get that, and we just have not captured it. And so this is what this move is about.
Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to another glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes. And as always, we are podcasting and getting ready for the Raiders. I'm talking about the Raiders, good, bad, ugly, and just, firing coaches again as we continue on trudging on with the silver and black here. Ryan, how you doing today?
Doing good. Just got done with the all 22 of the offense, and
yes, I did too.
It was bad. It was bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, sir. It was really bad. Got to see future center Alex Kappa a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of that.
I would not be surprised. He's going to be playing center against the Chargers.
Oh my God! So all right, so
I'll give him this. He's better than Will Putnam at center.
Yeah, maybe find a new home. Maybe we finally found a spot for Kappa here. So the before we get into the game, which was actually disgusting to watch, but the Raiders fire Chip Kelly. I did a little quick pod yesterday about it. What were your thoughts about that? I think your tweet kind of said it best when you said it seems like he wants to distance himself from the Pete Carroll wants to distance himself from the offensive coordinator. Don't know how you're going to do that when you're 2-9, but hey, it is what it is. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, the Chip Kelly deal, it turns out it was a 3-year deal, and if it was at $6 million per reports, you're talking about $18 million. Yeah. That's a lot of money for an organization who's still paying coaches and executives to walk away from after 11 games. And to think where that decision came from. This is Pete Carroll's staff. And you're starting to hear rumors that maybe Pete Carroll didn't hire this guy. Maybe Pete Carroll didn't hire that guy. And I find it hard to believe that Pete Carroll would come into a situation with his background and his resume and not have control over his coordinators. So until there's a verified report that 100% that Chip Kelly was not hired by Pete Carroll, I'm going to assume he was, because I'm the one that basically broke the news that they were having lunch in California in late January, early February. Like, they got together, they met. This wasn't a meeting that took place in Vegas. They met in Southern California to have that meeting. So maybe it was signed off on by other members, but I still have to believe that Pete Carroll is the one that hired him. So if Pete Carroll wasn't the one that hired Chip Kelly, I don't think he'd have the authority to fire him with $18 million on that contract 11 games in. So I don't – if he was a Tom Brady hire, I don't see how Pete Carroll can fire him if it wasn't his guy. So until proven otherwise, I'm going to think it was Pete Carroll. And it's a gross miscalculation at this point. And to eat that kind of money, but then to basically go into the press conference and say all the reasons why you did it. And say you want to run play action more. You need to run the ball more. Like, every time Pete Carroll gets on an interview at halftime, he wants to run the ball more. You know what they don't do? They don't run the ball. So which one is it? Like, and it's funny because Pete Carroll talked about getting the running game going, max protection, keep guys in, keep the quarterback upright, play action passing. And you know what they did against the Browns? Everything that Pete Carroll wants the new offense coordinator to do, they just tried to do. And when you go max protect and you keep 6 or 7 guys in to block and you're running 2 and 3 man routes, and this Tyler Lockett and Trey Tucker, and I like Trey Tucker, but Trey Tucker's 5'8", $100, like, he's not winning down the field unless he can get separation vertically. And when it's a 2-man route and those are the 2 guys going out, they're not going to win. So it doesn't matter who the quarterback is or who the offensive line is if that's the offense you want to run and you can't run the ball. But I thought it would work better than it did. You know, having been in the NFL, having running games that have worked in the past, coming from Ohio State where he won a national championship, I had some pretty decent expectations. I thought they could be a top 15 offense, and that clearly didn't work. The pass protection, the just the play of the offensive line, the running game never got going. Still, even this week, there's guys going the wrong way on plays on the offensive line and the quarterback and the running back on multiple plays, like 12 weeks into the season. So there was a huge disconnect somewhere. I've been told that Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly haven't been talking to each other for weeks, and it wouldn't surprise me with what's going on. But for him to basically just out Chip Kelly and then not say a word about either one of his sons, who's also on this coaching staff, reeks too. Like at some point, he's going to have to do something about this offensive line. Now, if Chip Kelly was in charge of it, and when they come out and they have a completely different offensive line, it's a different game plan, and they're doing stuff totally off the wall that they haven't done, which is going to be hard to do because you're in the middle of a season. You can't change the whole playbook. Greg Olson's going to run Chip Kelly's playbook. He may add some West Coast stuff, like maybe 5, 6, 7 plays a week and try to blend that in, but you can't just scrap the whole playbook. So it'll be interesting, but my takeaway from the press conference is you heard Pete Carroll talk about, I gave Chip all this leeway. He's basically saying Chip did his own thing. Don't look over here. Even though the week before against Dallas, Pete Carroll on the podium and said, I'm the one that wanted to play action. I wanted to throw the ball 30 times the first half. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to try to run the ball once we got the lead. That didn't go. So which one is it, Pete? Like, you can't have it both ways there. And then for him to say, well, I can only play the guys I have. Like, that's a shot at John Spytek. And then when he talks about, well, I elevated Greg Olson because he has 13 or whatever number of years as an NFL coordinator in this league, that's a shot at Chip Kelly. So there was shots going everywhere from Pete Carroll. And then Chip Kelly on the way out basically said, I loved working with Gino. Didn't mention anyone else. No coaches, no offensive coaches, no head coach. Basically said, peace out. So, like, there was clearly a disconnect between Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll, and they didn't get along at all if you start reading the tea leaves.
And I think, this whole, like, everybody has to have their place in the organization. And I just feel like with the Raiders, it's confusing the confusion comes in where it's like, who is in control of what? Like, we're hearing that, that Tom is in control of football operations, but there is no title to it. He's not in the building every day. I don't know how you do jobs like that without being in the building every day. Spytek has, some control, but then Pete Carroll has all this other control. That's why you see like former, Seahawks coming in the door every 5 seconds. It's just like, it's a lot of like, it's not my fault, it's his fault, but back and forth, but without that actually being really said out there for a lot of the fans. And I just feel like the structure is it's like they built this whole thing without a foundation. Because like somebody has to be like, a guy who is the player personnel. Somebody has to be the GM. Somebody has to be the head coach. And in those roles, you can disagree on things, but like we all have the same focus on what needs to get done. And I don't see that with the Raiders. And I just don't understand why it's like that. But maybe when, it is what it is. Maybe it starts from the top with Mark Davis, but to me, it's just like, it's really frustrating for fans to see, like, not knowing, what's going on in the front office. And then if you have a messy front office, it usually lends itself to being a messy product on the field.
It's chaos, which is what we were led to believe wasn't going to be the case this time around. It's basically the whole Gruden Mayock thing. It's Gruden and Reggie McKenzie and having his own draft guy.
Are you saying there's no adults in the room?
It doesn't appear that way. Like, we're getting leaks everywhere from everyone's trying to cover their ass at this point. Clearly, in my opinion, Pete Carroll has control of the roster because of, like you said, there's 6 Seahawks on this roster they brought in. Like, once training camp basically started, they're playing a pretty decent amount of snaps on this team over the rookies that John Spytek drafted. I would say that John Spytek has control over the draft. So they're kind of blending there. And that's where the disconnect is. Pete wants to win. Pete can't fathom being 2-9 and has no idea how to flip the switch and go into development mode. And he keeps saying that part out loud, which is a bad look for him. Because the whole reason they brought him in here was to lead the rebuild the culture, get this thing going in the right direction. And he's saying, F you, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to play who I want. I don't care what the record is. Which makes the whole hire even worse in hindsight and was one of the reasons why I was completely against it, if you go back and listen to the podcast in January and February. But the whole Tom Brady thing is interesting. Tom Brady can't run the show from Fox. Mark Davis is the one that brought him on, but he's not running it. John Spytek is. So I wouldn't like the whole rift about everyone hating on Tom Brady. This is not Tom Brady's fault. Like Mark Davis is the one that let him be a part of this and double dip with Fox. But I'm not walking away from 325 or 375 million, whatever Fox is paying Tom Brady. But Spytek's his guy. So I would be shocked if they don't communicate daily, if not every other day, about what's going on with the roster and stuff like that. So he can't be really a part of the team until the offseason, which is where they need to build this thing back up. But Pete thinks he's in charge. John Spytek wants to do stuff and wants to play the rookies. Pete's saying no. Every time there's a free agent that's available, it's a veteran, Pete's scooping them up. And, I know John Spytek wasn't sitting there like pounding the table for Tyler Locklear at Stone Forsythe. Like that wasn't happening. He's not the one that was pounding the table for Geno Smith. He's not the one that brought in Jamal Adams. These are all Pete Carroll moves. So until the Raiders get this thing right and say, you're the GM, the head coach reports to you, and the GM has control over the 53, the Raiders are always going to be like this.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Brady, 10 years, $375 million. I mean,
no one in the right mind would walk away from that when you can do both jobs. Like, he's not in this to be the GM and run the team day to day. He just wants to be a part of it and have a say.
Exactly.
He has a seat at the table, but Tom Brady's not making all these decisions.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts. And it's nuts to see what this whole situation is coming to. I mean, I did listen to Vinny Bonsignore today, and he talked about how the disconnect you talked about, where like the general manager knows, hey, like where this team is and what needs to get done, and then Pete's out here, trying to, go,
4-13.
He's trying to go like win some games here to get to get the team going. Which is like nuts. I mean, for them to win, like let's be real. Like for them to win anything right now, any games, you have to just let this whole thing take its course and somehow get to 2-15 and then take your and then at that point kickstart what you want to do with the draft with free agency, which I mean we're already. If you're the Raiders in free agency, you're talking about third-tier free agents. No big-time free agents are coming to Vegas. No question about that. We already know that already. So, and if they do,
and if I was the Raiders, they don't need to go out and make a splash move this offseason. They don't need to do that. They did that with Christian Wilkins. They did that with Devontae Adams. Like, stop giving away assets. Stop giving out these huge contracts. You're not in a position to win. Build the roster. Go out and find 26, 27-year-old guys, give them a 1 or 2 year deal and try to build some depth there. And then you have to hit on these draft picks.
Yeah. I mean, depth is like, but the depth is going to be the biggest thing for them to kind of get, because you want to supplement some of these draft picks with guys who have played in the league before, because you know that's what's where they're headed as far as that goes. And I think you mentioned it last week. How many players are going to
They only have 31 players under contract next year, and if you think about it, 10 of them are rookies. They're not playing 9 of them, really. So it's like a third of the team that will be here next year isn't even playing right now. And I think too, and I tweeted out, something along the lines of Pete Carroll basically telling the announcing crew last week. I didn't watch the game live. I was in Las Vegas. I made a great decision. I went and hung out on Bourbon Street for the weekend, saw Dominique Wilkins. The Hawks and the Falcons were staying at the hotel I was at. It was a good weekend. I caught a little bit of the game at the airport, watched the rest of it yesterday morning. But for him to tell the crew, I can't play the rookies because it might be detrimental to us winning. I posed the question, what winning? What is he talking about? The one win they've had in the last 10 weeks? Like, Pete Carroll's delusional at this point.
Yeah. And it's also like, I mean, if the guy like this is like, you talk about competition all the time, right? Competition, compete, whatever the thing is. If the guys you're putting on the field are not getting the job done, Like, what messages it send to keep putting them out there and not giving the other guys a chance? Like, I'm not sitting there saying that we got Lincoln Kennedy and some of these draft picks, but like put the guy on the field. Like, I mean, if you want to go heavy personnel, put him on the field. Put him on the field so we can get opportunity to play out there. And I listen with every Tyler Lockett reception. I'm like, great, that's wonderful. They completed a pass to Tyler Lockett. Like, Tyler Lockett is not part of the future of this team.
He won't be here next year. So what does it matter?
So what does it matter? You can't even cheer for it. Like, I'm looking at the where the snap count is, and I'm just not seeing. I'm not seeing
9 snaps.
He played 9 snaps. You had Dante Thornton played some snaps. He had a reception. Like, it's just Dante Thornton played 30 snaps. Like, it's just, I mean, what are you doing here? Like, why not? I mean, especially with all this. Yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird situation.
Can't get open, and they're running 2 receiver routes in this game, and he's one of them. Like, him and Lockett running routes together. Like, good luck, Gino. It doesn't matter who your quarterback. You get a Brett Favre back there. Like, if those are the 2 guys running into, if they're getting pressure with 4 and 5, and they're covering 2 receivers with 5 or 6 defensive backs, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is or what the play. You just can't run those kind of plays.
Nope.
The 3rd and 15 play is another reason. Like, I don't know if you saw that. It was 3rd and 15 where they run the double stutter goes, and like the defense is backing off. There's nowhere for Gino to throw the ball. Like, it's a 2-man route on 3rd and 15.
No, you can't do it. You can't do it. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. We saw let's see here. So the Raiders lose a game 24-10, got dominated in this ball game.
The Raiders, yeah, there you go. So they got dominated at home by a bad football team. This game was over in the first quarter.
It was. And then you can tell, like, the Browns players were just jumping up and down after every play. They were doing all these dances and everything like that. They knew that the Raiders couldn't do anything. And it was bad. I mean, this offense, the Browns offense has been horrible all season. And then for them to even get to 24 points was nuts. In this game, but they were on the field for the whole game. The Raiders did force a couple of turnovers. Jerry Jeudy tried to do a little killer crossover and got stripped from the ball, and they had a nice little Snowden had a nice little play where he drops in the coverage from his line spot and picked off Shedeur Sanders, but still, man, it's just like, it was really just you knew like, these games are like old school Raider games, like, back in when they were bad in Oakland, when it was like, the other team scores 14 points, Ryan, in the game, and you can turn the TV off. The game's over.
Yeah, the Browns scored 24 points, and I get it. They had a short field after the punt return, but they had 11 first downs in the game. They went 3 of 12 on 3rd down. It basically came down to, and the Browns only held the ball for 23 minutes, so the Raiders' defense was barely on the field. So it's not like they were getting run through. The defense actually held up okay, but like, you can't give up those big chunk plays down the field. They gave up the 3rd down pass over the top. Darnay Holmes gets beat. Jerry Jeudy gets behind the secondary. Luckily, Chin ran him down and made him fumble, and there was another deep play later in the game. It was on the swing pass. It was like 3rd and long, and they threw a swing pass, and the guy takes it 66 to the house because I don't know what Lonnie Johnson was doing. And I was told by a lot of Raider fans that Lonnie Johnson
was this
defense. And what have I been saying all season? He's a special teamer. Like, why are we acting like Lonnie Johnson is prime Earl Thomas? Like, he's so like we've seen Lonnie Johnson for 3 weeks.
Who was the Eagle? I'm losing my memory here. Who was the Eagles running back who went nuts on the Raiders with like 5 touchdowns in that all screen passes and stuff like that? Was it the Eagles? What's his name?
I'm thinking of Jamal Charles did it to the Raiders.
Jamal Charles. I remember Jamal Charles, but like that's what that play to Samson reminded me of. It's like, oh great, that's great. Hey, keep going. Not even touched on a little swing pass out there, looking like
my thing again with. I was going to say with Patrick
Jones.
Graham, like they're running out Shedeur Sanders. If you watched the week before, Baltimore just blitzed him, and it was 4-16. Couldn't really get rid of the ball, and like the Raiders didn't pressure him. They brought 7 blitzes in the whole game.
Yeah,
and then They didn't try to create turnovers and get after him. He had the one turnover on first down where he read the cover 3 wrong, and Snowden, instead of going to the flat, kind of sunk under the hook area. But they didn't come after him. They didn't try to speed the game up for him. They just let him be relaxed back there, throw it away when he wanted to, like get outside the pocket. Like Patrick Graham didn't do anything in this game to try to confuse a rookie quarterback who hasn't played in the NFL. But that's Patrick Graham's MO. Like we've been talking about that for 4 years, and everyone wants to anoint him as they should fire Pete and promote Patrick Graham. And also they just want to run and hide behind that. Well, Patrick Graham doesn't have players. Well, Patrick Graham's never coordinated a good defense. So does that matter at some point? Like at some point, they need to get after the quarterback. And like you have to look at things like this when they're playing quarterbacks that they should just get after and create havoc and create pressure, make them speed the game up for them. They never do that. And that's not what Patrick Graham does.
Yeah, and Ryan too. Like it wasn't like Junkins or Sampson were going nuts in this game. They were only 27 of 64 rushing the football. So like there was prime opportunity for them to go after Shedeur Sanders and try to force even more havoc in the game. But
the way the offense was playing, the only way the Raiders could win this game is if they got after him and a pick six or get the ball in plus territory. Yeah. I know the Snowden interception led to I think a field goal, but like the other turnover came way down, almost in the red zone after the long play. So like they didn't really create field position doing that. And I would just like to see a more aggressive defensive coordinator. Like the Browns weren't moving the ball. And you could say, well, they went 3 of 12 on third down. They got 11 first downs, but like they went 3 and out and they punted it, and then the Raiders couldn't do anything with it. They never really flipped the field other than the Snowden interception.
Yeah, I mean, I think when the Browns play the Niners next week, I think you might see a couple blitzes in that game. You might just a couple, 1 or 2.
Well, the weird thing again, if you listen to the broadcast crew, they said the Ravens brought pressure. They blitzed Shedeur over and over again, and Patrick Graham said, "quote unquote," this is the copycat league. And what did Patrick Graham do? The exact opposite. He didn't do what he told the pressure crew he was going to do.
He's only had one. Like I can only think of 2 or 3 games on top of my head where I was satisfied with the amount of pressure that he brought.
It's almost like there's this group of Raider fans that think Patrick Graham is Buddy Ryan, and that Pete Carroll's like shackling him. No, this is what Patrick Graham has done for 4 years. He doesn't blitz. He doesn't create pressure. And then when Max can't win because he's getting double and triple team, there's not another guy on this line that can get open. And then I have to pop on the film and watch Jim Schwartz walk 6 or 7 guys up the line of scrimmage and drop out sim blitz, and we're bringing this guy through the A gap, and we're pulling this guy out, and like just see all these creative 4 and 5 man rushes. And granted, it's the Raiders' terrible offensive line, but I saw more watching that film this week from the Browns defense than I've seen out of Patrick Graham in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, if your goal is to take the ball away, explain to me how you do it without pressuring the quarterback. Like if he has a chance to eat a sandwich back there, he's going to either throw the ball away when nobody's open, or he's going to complete passes all day and all night. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it was so difficult for Patrick Graham.
Chip Kelly got let go. Tom McMahon got let go. There's no scapegoats on this for me. Like they all need to go. Like I've had it with Patrick Graham. And he may go somewhere and lead a league average defense and be 15th, and people will be like, "Oh, we let this guy go." But like, you're not going to win with Patrick Graham long term unless you have dudes at every level. And the Raiders are nowhere close to having dudes. They need a better scheme. Their scheme sucks.
Yeah, it's yeah. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. You want to go on to something else that sucks is the Raiders snapping the ball on special teams. That was also bad as well. Changing the special teams coach has not changed the Raiders' success here. So what do you do there as well too? Because I think in a broadcast, so not in a broadcast, I think either a broadcast or one of the Raiders beat guys talked about how the snaps were really kind of affecting Carlson as far as that goes. I mean, we'll see. Carlson hasn't been good in a minute, in my opinion, but the thoughts about special teams as well, because the Raiders have been god awful there in that aspect of the game as well.
If I remember correctly, the broadcast crew brought it up that in pregame warmups, the snaps were bad. The Carlson field goal miss, the snap was fine. That wasn't anything related to the snap. But there was one on the punt where it kind of went to Cole's left. But in the post game, Pete Carroll made reference to that they were trying to angle some of the snaps to get the kicker with a better angle to keep the ball close to the sidelines. So it seemed like something they were doing intentionally. I didn't really have a problem with the snaps during the game. The one punt did look during the broadcast like, wait, that snap is way left. But Pete Carroll classified it as they were trying to do that.
Yeah.
They didn't get any block this week, so hats off to them.
Yeah. Hey, listen. It's progress.
And where's the Daniel Carlson stands that were all over me 3 or 4 weeks ago when I said they need to bring a competition for him?
So they go out there and hire one of the most illustrious names in offensive football to be their offensive coordinator. He worked with John Kitna. He's worked with the Rams several times and McVay. He's worked
and the Raiders.
At John Gruden. Some of the big names in the sport have been associated with Greg Olson. What big time offensive outputs can we expect from Mr. Olson here as the Raiders go get ready to play the Chargers?
I would expect the offense to look very similar as far as like the run schemes and stuff like that. I would think that he's just going to feed 89. Like Greg Olson has a history of getting the ball to the tight ends, whether it's Darren Waller, going back. If you just go look at the tight ends in offenses he's called, they've had a lot of volume. And that's something where where Chip Kelly kind of didn't really do that a lot. And we saw a lot the last couple of weeks where they just put him out as the X receiver and just put him single by himself and they could just match him up with a corner rather than using him over the middle of the field like they did earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I would expect to see Brock Bowers closer to the line of scrimmage, get him better matchups, linebackers, safeties, nickels, work him across the field where he could use that big body. And then just running the football. We're going to see a lot of – I think they want to stay out of like second to third and long. So I think the changes are going to be – you're going to see a lot of run on first, run on second, third and sixth, and hope to complete a pass. I don't think they're going to score any more points, but
yeah,
I think there's going to be heavy commitment to the run. It's going to be really boring to watch. They're going to get the ball in Genty's hands 20-plus times, and you're going to get 12 to 15 targets for Brock Bowers and just hope that's good enough because really they don't have anything else on this roster right now. Trey Tucker's a nice piece, is a speed option, but he can't be a number one or even a number two on a good team.
Yeah.
He's a nice three. Dante Thornton can't win. Tyler Lockett's tiny and has no speed. Like he can get open real quick in the short area, but like he's not challenging anybody down the field. He's not winning jump balls. You're not running any breaking routes with him. So I think you're just going to go 12 personnel. Hopefully Michael Mayer's healthy. And then they have to figure out what to do opposite Trey Tucker, though. It's not Dante Thornton. It's not going to be hopefully Lockett much longer. And just put Jack Besh out there and see what you got. You took this guy in the second round.
Yeah.
You can't get him out there. Like Dante Thornton's doing nothing. He doesn't provide anything. So I don't know why Jack Besh is in the doghouse. They traded Jacoby Myers, and the whole talk was like he was going to be in Myers next year when Myers was gone. Well, Myers is gone now, and they can't figure out how to even just get him out there for 25, 30 snaps.
And he's supposed to be this guy who comes in and is that physical wide receiver who can block and and maybe and sit down in zones and things like that. And he's just not been effective and not been a guy who you can count on to do much of anything. But then again, he's not getting. We go back to the snap count. Was it 9 here last week?
And a lot of them he's being inserted as almost like a tight end of the run game.
But when he comes in, you pretty much you're almost tipping your hand offensively to what the Raiders are going to do.
And when they let him run routes, he's been getting open. He's not going to get open deep, but he can get open over the middle. Especially when if you're going to keep Bowers outside, which is what Chip Kelly was doing. They didn't have anybody that could command the middle of the field. So, and now if you're going heavy and you're going 12 or 13 personnel and getting Ian Thomas on the field and Michael Mayer on the field, they're going to have to figure out some way to go 12 personnel and just have it be. Even if you go Tucker and you go Besh for half the snaps and 40% of snaps for Lockett and 10% of snaps for Thornton, but Thornton right now is not ready because he can't run routes. He's a long strider. He can't get in and out of cuts. He can't get into his hips. He's a narrow, upright runner, and he can literally do one thing, and that's run vertical. But he can't get off press, and guys just back off him, and he can't get on top of him right now. And obviously, the line can't hold up long enough to throw those passes anyways. So, I don't even know why he's on the field.
And when a guy takes over, like Greg Olson takes over right now, he's working on for the playbook that they've had from Jump Street,
Yeah.
from he's not implementing like, hey, I gotta pull. It's not like you're playing college football and you can change, the playbook. It doesn't work that way.
He's adding 4 or 5 third down calls and maybe a couple of red zone stuff they work on during the week. So he may be adding, like I said, 6 to 10 plays this week that they haven't run before. But 90% of the stuff you're going to see, 95%, is the stuff they've been running since training camp started. Now, that they did run a lot of West Coast stuff in the preseason and kind of went away from that. So maybe they go back to some of that stuff, some more slants, some more, get the ball in the flat to the running back and just see some more old school, stuff you'd see in a traditional West Coast offense. If there's anything that we'll see that.
Yeah. Question. So when I'm looking at, we look at Chip Kelly and now he's gone, what would be your kind of thing where you said in retrospect, kind of looking at it back now, what was his biggest downfall with the Raiders? Because obviously didn't work out. It could be communication, it could be a lot of different things, but essentially, what's your feeling about what happened here in Las Vegas with Chip Kelly?
I don't think the offensive line was good enough to run the offense he wanted to run,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think his protection schemes were good enough to hold up in the NFL when you had a below average line. He didn't really want to chip, and did this week, Genty and the tight ends did, but going into this week, they've kind of left their tackles on an island, and you just didn't see enough, good enough timing when the quarterback drops back and he gets to the top of his break and he's looking in one direction or the other. You didn't see the routes kind of meshing together, the progressions, and I think the offense that he wants to run is more spread. It works better in college because the hash marks are wider. He's usually coaching a really good team where the offensive line can hold up and it doesn't have to be a timing based offense. But I just didn't think the routes and the quarterback drops and the protection schemes really held up. Where we thought he was going to be good was having a diverse running game with all these different schemes. And he was going to take, some stuff from the 49ers, some stuff from the Rams, stuff he used to do back at Oregon. And we didn't really see that either. And he didn't really have the lineman to do it. The interior three of the Raiders offensive line right now is the worst in football, and it's not close. So it's really hard to run the ball in between the tackles right now. I don't know what it would have looked like if Miller was healthy and still playing. Parham's a fringe player in this league. I don't think he'll be back. If JPJ stayed at center and they figured out a viable right guard, and then Glaze was just made the jump from last year that you would expect a player in a second year to make, I think it could have worked, but that didn't happen. And Brendan Carroll came in and Pete Carroll came in, and they kind of just threw the offensive line in a blender and hit the button, and what came out, and it didn't work. And I think what happened is the two most important positions on a coaching staff are the offensive line coach and the secondary coach. The Raiders often have the worst offensive line coach in the league in Brendan Carroll. Yeah. None of those guys have developed. They've all gotten worse. And when you were expecting DJ Glaze to make a jump in year 2 and JPJ to make a jump in year 2 and Meredith to get better based off, the snaps he got last year, and for Parham to hopefully make that jump in a contract year, and then give him 2 rookies to develop to bring along, and you look back 12 weeks in and say every one of these guys is worse than they were last year, that's an indictment on coaching. So he had his hands tied with the offensive line coach, and clearly I don't think the offensive line coach was hired by Chip Kelly. He was hired by Pete Carroll. So Pete Carroll kind of did himself in where he basically neutered this offensive coordinator he gave $6 million to by handing him the league's worst offensive line coach.
Yeah, it sounded like Chip wanted to bring in a guy from Ohio State was with them there.
I believe it's the guy that went to the Cardinals. Chip Kelly wanted to bring – here, let's find his name. The guy over from Ohio State, and he was vetoed.
Which is wild because you're vetoed just because I want my son to get a job.
Justin Fry. Wild. So Justin Fry was at Ohio State with him, with Pete Carroll, and he was hired February 12th by the Cardinals to be their online coach. So they weren't seeing eye to eye right out the gate. Hey, I want this guy, and Pete Carroll's like, nope, you're getting my son.
And not even that you're getting that must have been an interesting conversation that you're getting my son. That's just kind of wild. And that's wild. So nepotism is in the house as far as that goes. Let's see here. So anything else about this game that we want to kind of go back on? I mean, you know, the Raiders could not fire the Raiders could not have fired. Like I know people Raider fans are out for blood. They want both. They want all three Carrolls gone, but he couldn't have fired both of his sons during the season, right? I mean, you fire offensive line coach in the middle of the season.
I think you can because Joe Philbin's still on the staff and he's sitting upstairs with Chip Kelly. So he's been he was the interim offensive line coach in the past with the Raiders. I want to say last year or the year before. So it is possible. I will say this, like for Pete Carroll to sit up there and say again, like, well, will the rookies play next week? I don't know. Let's see how they do in practice. Let's see them compete. Like,
dude, Pete, come on.
He starts Darian Porter. Darian Porter plays well against the Broncos, but Kai Blue Kelly has 2 interceptions. He made one nice play on the deep ball, and the other one's kind of tip ball that just landed in his hands. And then the next week, all we get is Kai Blue Kelly, and Darian Porter doesn't see the field until the fourth quarter when it's 31-9. And then we fast forward to this week, Darian Porter starts again. He plays the first and third quarter, plays fine, and then he disappears in the second and fourth quarter. Like, just make a decision, dude. It's week 12. Play Darian Porter. I don't understand what the reluctance is to play him because Kai Blue Kelly hasn't been a good player this year.
Yeah.
And was it something that happened in practice, or did you start Kai Blue Kelly because he got 2 interceptions against the Broncos? And then Darian Porter beat him out in practice the next week. Like, we got to stop. Like, practice is very important, but like that's the only position where he's doing this. It's not like he's doing this. If that's what Pete Carroll really believed, that everyone's competing every week in practice, we'd have a different lineup every week. But we don't. Like he's only doing this to Darian Porter. It feels personal.
It's weird. It's weird. And to me, if the play is even,
go with the young guy.
Go with the fucking rookie. Like what? Like why are we like? What is? I mean,
I mentioned
this vengeance. Go ahead.
There's a number of players on this team that played in Seattle for Pete Carroll. Do you know who one of them is? His name is Kai Blue Kelly. He played 5 games for Pete Carroll in 2023. Now I get it. Kai Blue Kelly was on the Raiders last year prior to Pete Carroll getting here, but he has a background with Pete Carroll from Seattle.
Oh, dude. You know, it's funny. It's funny. I'm coaching basketball right now, high school basketball right now. And I got an interview for another one for another position for another sport for the spring, and the person interviewing me literally said, "Hey, I'm gonna hopefully the interview went well. Hopefully it works out because I don't want to deal with daddy ball, and like we're literally dealing with daddy ball in the National Football League, like daddy ball, like that is freaking wild that we're going through that in the National Football League." It's crazy.
Yeah, and to think the Raiders hired a 74-year-old coach to do this too makes it even worse.
So here is now. Do you believe now? You know, this is rumor stuff, and I think that this offseason will be one where Bill Belichick's agent will do everything he can to get him out of Tar Heel Nation. But do you think that, and you think any truth to the rumor that he would be that the Raiders would be interested in bringing in Belichick?
No, and I haven't seen that rumor. I've just seen Josina Anderson make a comment that there's a couple teams that might have interest in him. I haven't seen the Raiders specifically linked to him, other than psycho Raider fans on Twitter that just want to throw the Raiders name out there. But you can't move on from a 74-year-old Pete Carroll in a clear rebuild to hire a 70-something-year-old Bill Belichick that can't even win a game at North Carolina. Like he's getting boat raced in the ACC right now.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, if you took over Mississippi State and went to the SEC, I might give him a little slack. But
just go get the young guy and build this thing. Like you're not winning in the next 2 or 3 years. We've talked about this. Build it.
Hey, listen. There's a couple Kubiaks. Go grab one. I don't care. I mean,
I think Raider fans would be okay with it if you just told them this is the plan. We're going to go with a first-time young head coach. We're going to go get a young quarterback. We're going to build this thing through the draft and stop pounding your chest and saying, I win 10 games. That's what I do. Or we're going to the playoffs every year. they put those expectations out there, and then when the Raiders don't meet them, the fans get upset. But like, well, just don't have those expectations. Do it right. And I had people reach out to me in the DMs this week talking about, look, you can't take a rookie quarterback because J.J. McCarthy's terrible. And it's like, well, you conveniently forgot to tell me about Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams and Drake May and Bo Nix from that same draft, who all 4 will be in the playoffs by year 2. Now, I'm not saying the Raiders are a playoff team in year 2 if they go get a rookie quarterback this year, but like all these people acting like, well, you can't take a rookie quarterback because you're not going to be good. Well, history says those teams that take them, like a majority of those teams are in the playoffs quickly. And there are misses. Like you're going to miss. Michael Penix got hurt. We don't know. I mean, the Falcons are trending in that way this year. They're in a bad division, but like the Michael Penix injury stunted him. And J.J. McCarthy's been hurt. Like he missed all of his rookie year and he's missed like half the year this year. So I'm not saying he's the answer, but like it's not time to run away from him just yet. But if you identify that young quarterback and he's on the roster, you can attract a better coach. You can attract free agents. You can spend money on all these other positions and build out your roster. The whole concept that you can just go out and draft offensive linemen and draft defensive linemen and draft these guys and wait 3 or 4 years and then boom, now we want our quarterback. Like, well, if you build the roster out and you're good enough and you're picking in the late teens, you're not getting your quarterback. So like you have to get the quarterback first. And you can build this team in a number of different other areas. You can do it in free agency, waiver claims, trades, like you don't only improve the team in April. Like you can improve this team from March 15th all the way through the season. And it's a slow build. It doesn't have to be a finished product on July 25th when they report to camp or whatever it is.
100%. And I went back at look at the 2023 standings, and with the Patriots who picked 3rd in the draft and to get Drake May. Like was straight where the pitchers were 4-13 that year. Were they ready for draft a quarterback, quote unquote? No. The Bears were 7. The Bears made that trade, but they were 7-10. Were they ready for a quarterback? No. Who else was
Caleb Williams' rookie year? Their offensive line was almost as bad as the Raiders is right now.
Yes.
But
seriously.
What did they do? They traded for Joe Tooney. They went out and they got another guard. They traded for Jackson from the Rams, and they went out and got in the center, and then obviously they had Darnell Wright on the roster, and then they went out and got a left tackle. So like you can go fix the offensive line without having to spend a 1st-round pick on them.
Yeah. Washington was 4-13. Were they ready to take Jaden Daniels? Like, I mean, were
the Texans
were they thinking about
CJ Stroud? No.
Yeah. Were they thinking about like not being ready to take a quarterback when they were in the NFC Championship game last year in Washington?
I think the problem is Raider fans here take the 1st-round quarterback, and they think that means that everyone assumes they're going to be a playoff team year 1. Like, we're not saying the rookie quarterback's going to fix everything. This thing is a mess, but like you have to start somewhere, and that's the easiest place to start. And it's something the Raiders haven't done. They've been avoiding it like the plague, and they're just spinning their wheels like a hamster. Like they're going nowhere, trying to chase 8 to 9 wins every year and loading the roster full of veterans and getting all these Band-Aids. And I saw some article where some national analyst said the Raiders are trying to win with someone else's heroes. That's what they've been trying to do for the last 20 years.
That should be a T-shirt right there. That's probably the best.
Go get your own heroes.
Yeah, get your own heroes. Exactly, 100%. They're trying to borrow people's heroes. That's a good line. Yeah, it is what I mean. Like, just look in your division, bro. Like all those teams built their teams through the draft, through free agency, but they all took when they had opportunities. When the Chargers, when the Broncos and the Chiefs had opportunity to take a 1st-round quarterback, they jumped at it. They took him. They took
Chiefs
Herbert.
Had Alex Smith, and they were a playoff team, and they said
the Raiders would never do better. The Raiders would never did that.
They traded up.
Yeah, they traded up to replace a guy who had a tremendous winning percentage and went to the playoffs almost all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's just like if you just look in your own division, if you don't do anything else, it's crazy.
I'm going to have to watch a bunch of Ty Simpson and Mendoza film in December and January, I think.
You're going to have to. Yeah, I've already jumped into the pool. I jumped into the pool. It is what we got to do. I think it's interesting to see if more comes out too as well to add another piece to it. Because he's young, he's 20 years old. But so it is what it is. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's time to just stop playing around and you can draft a quarterback and take offensive linemen, and you can fill those holes with free agency. I don't know, but it's crazy. And who knows? Maybe they have 2 offensive linemen on this team right now who could play. They don't play because they never get snaps, but they probably could play. You never know.
I hope that we see Rodgers soon. And we don't know if he can. I mean, he was good in the Big 12. Like, he played interior offensive line. He played right tackle. There's some versatility there, but he can't be any worse than I just watched Jordan Meredith and Will Putnam play. There is no way on God's green earth that he's worse than those 2 guys.
And I really hope he is terrible, because I hope it's not like where he's being he's being crazy and just vindictive that he doesn't want to have this dude play because it's a draft pick over his guys that he has from Seattle. So it'd be nuts.
I will say this. I'm going to say something very controversial right now, and people are going to hate me for saying this. We're 11 games into Ashton Genty's career, and I was against taking Genty at 6. I think it's pretty safe to say that he's a good running back. I think it's also pretty safe to say he is not a generational running back. And I know the offensive line's terrible, and the run blocking is terrible. The offensive coordinator just got fired, but when you throw the term generational around, like, you're setting up expectation where this dude's just going to walk in and run for 1,500, 12 touchdowns.
You're saying Walter Payton.
Like, we're
Barry
talking
Sanders.
elite, elite of the elite, and he's going to be a good running back, and he's probably going to make a couple of Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would put money right now down that he will not end up being a generational type running back.
Ryan, if you okay, you said it.
I mean, LaDainian Tomlinson is a generational running back.
Yeah. If you would
Jim
he
Brown,
at any
Walter
point
Payton,
of his
Emmitt Smith.
career, at any point of his career, would you consider him better? Do you think if he plays at his height of his career, be better than Gibbs in Detroit?
They're different types of running backs.
Yeah.
One's an explosive, like, big play machine.
Yeah.
I could see him being better for a season or 2. Yeah. Like, will he have a better career? That's tough because Gibbs is in a way better situation.
Yeah. He had a head start already. So
I would argue that Gibbs isn't generational either. Like, when I hear generational, that's got to be like the best running back that's come out in 10, 15 years. Like, we got to stop using this term every year.
I hate that word.
Generational.
I hate that word. I hate that word. No question.
I mean, if I think in the last 15 years, like, who were the running backs that were going to be these generational type guys, you could say Saquon. Like, he went second in the draft. He was a stud. Like, we thought Leonard Fournette. Like, everyone thought Leonard Fournette was a generational running back. That didn't work out. We got to stop putting these stupid expectations on these players. They're players. Yeah. Get them into the league, and we'll see. So, I still stand that I think they should have drafted Armand Mimbu, and this team would be in a better spot. Now, if they go get their quarterback this year and they build up the line, Genty can be a good player. I'm not saying he can't be a Pro Bowler. But, like, generational to me means that if this guy stays healthy, he's a no doubt Hall of Famer. And I don't know if we can say that.
I would have if I am the Raiders, I would have. I mean, Mimbu would have been Mimbu or Dart would have been the pick for me. And then then after that, there's so many running backs in this draft. Draft a couple of them, you know what I mean? So, and take it from there. So, I mean, the kid from the Bears is playing pretty well. Another guy, he kind of has that same kind of stature of that Genty has. So, I mean, there are some guys in this league who can definitely come out later on. So,
another thing that's bothering me too, going through all these tape breakdowns, is, first of all, for all the guys that want to comment, like, that they can diagnose every play after I post it. Well, go post it yourselves and diagnose it, and then let me read what you think, because I don't see them doing that. But also, there's this idea floating around in Raider Nation that DJ Clay is just going to be a Pro Bowl guard. Like, just slide him inside. He's a Pro Bowl guard. Like, we need to stop saying that too. Like, move this fringe tackle inside, and he's a Pro Bowler. Like, we don't know that either. Like, he'll probably end up at guard if they have a better option at right tackle. Like, in an ideal world, put him at right guard, go get a stud right tackle somewhere in free agency or in the draft, move Jackson Powers Johnson to center, Colton Miller's still around, and you can fix this line quickly. But we don't know that DJ Glaze is going to be a good guard, let alone a Pro Bowl guard. So,
At least Glaze got enough tape for an entire season, and he's been able to. Hopefully, he shows the ability to make it through a season. Because I think being available is really important as well. So we'll see if he continues to play, and hopefully hopefully for the Raiders he'll play well. Really quick before we go, because we're hitting almost hitting the hour mark. Raiders Chargers, who wins? Prediction.
Chargers. Raiders are not winning that game.
With a bye week for Harbaugh, I don't think so.
Here's where I'm at. I have to travel on Sunday, so it's like, do I leave first thing in the morning to get somewhere to watch the game, or just travel during the game and listen to it on my phone or the radio as I'm going,
depending on where you're going, they might even have it on the plane. Every time I travel on the plane, the game is always on the plane. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It is what it is, man. We'll see what happens. All right, Raider Nation. I think we covered all the bases here. I'm
ready for the Genty. The Genty heat. Bring it.
Yes.
Well, I like Genty. He's not a generational running back.
Yes, that's fair. It's a fair comment. All right. See you next time. Peace.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.